We're going to go general here. 6 picks on the day, a day where it was originally supposed to be 5. I mean, how are you feeling about the picks overall?
We feel great. We addressed some of our needs. We feel like we got some players that are, super talented and bring a lot to the table. So we're excited to get through today, and I know it's an exciting time for the draftees. To have the first overall pick is pretty special for us, and I know it was for Thomas as well. So, we feel like we have some guys that are going to make us better, and we're really excited.
Speaking of Thomas McConvey, you actually coached him for Team Canada. I mean, what was the connection like with him prior to going into the draft?
It was great to see what he was like on a personal level, and couldn't be more impressed with his professionalism and just the type of character that he has. And that's really important to us is finding the right people. Obviously, watch what he can do on the floor and his performance. He's going to be a tremendous player in our league, but just to have a guy with that type of character and got to meet his family and know what they're all about. So really great addition. We're super excited to not only add him as a player, but as a person to our culture and our Knighthawks family.
Speaking of Knighthawks family, Coach Hazen, with the addition of his son, how much convincing did that take to get on board with adding Austin?
No, there was no convincing on his part. Honestly, I know he's a huge fan of his, and as a father, I think there's obviously that biased opinion of your son or daughter, but we've watched him enough, and all of us are fans of Austin. We have a pretty strong right side with the players that we have, and we didn't see it as much of a need for us, but I think he's a player that can help us win games, and he's going to have to come in and earn it just like anybody else. So it's not like we have a spot that he's going to be given. He's going to earn it. And Mike is definitely an advocate of his, but we were as well. So we were fortunate to have we were in a position to move up, and I think it really worked out for us, and we're excited to see him in training camp.
Yeah, unfortunately, you see the departure of goaltender Joel Watson with that move, but how does that open up an opportunity for him in Vegas?
So part of this business is, we have to do what's best for us first and foremost, but when you have good people that, Joel was a great teammate for us. Everybody loved Joel. Still have so much respect, and I want to see him have success. And when we traded for Riley Hutchcraft, he was still a good teammate, but he knew that was going to be tougher for him to have the opportunity here in Rochester to be, a number 1 or a number 2. So, it worked out for us because it addressed, something that we were looking for, and we also provided him with a potential opportunity to go in and have, a more of a clear spot there than it would be in Rochester. So Joel's a great guy. We spoke afterwards, and, you hate to see guys go, but excited to know that he's got potentially a better opportunity there in Vegas.
So let's talk a little bit more about this first overall pick. What is it that puts him not only a tier above to be the number 1 overall pick, but to trade up from 2 to 1 to make him that pick?
Over the last few years, and few drafts that we've had, I think we've been very lucky and fortunate to have the players available to us that we drafted. Rylan Reese and Ryan Smith in particular, those are our first two first-round picks that we've had. And I think, we're really happy with those guys. We're excited that they're, within our team. And going into this draft, there was a number of players that we really liked, and it just seemed to be, he was the guy that we were really hoping to be able to get and to take the guesswork out of it. We saw him as the number 1, and it wasn't really much of a debate when we went through our list. He was our guy. So with his size and athleticism, and he's an all-around player. He's not just a goal scorer, shooter. He can make a lot of plays, and he's a very smart player. I think he's got good leadership qualities as well. So he's a guy that we feel like we can, among other guys that we have, build our offense around, for our future. So he's definitely a guy that we're excited about and wanted to make sure that we didn't have to sit around and wait for him and hope that he would be there at the second pick. We made sure that we had him with the first overall pick.
So he's kind of an anomaly to this team that we're seeing the culture kind of set in more around the upstate New York area over the course of this offseason, additions of Connor Fields and Jared Connors signing at the back half of last year. Has that been a focus, and what is the reasoning for that?
I think we look less at where they're located. The reality of the National Lacrosse League is we operate in different ways in different cities and organizations. So we want to make sure that our guys are fairly local. So it doesn't have to be in Rochester or Buffalo. The Ontario-based players, it really works for us, for our practices. So Thomas is a guy that is from the Toronto area, from Mimico, and he is, he's going to be, once he's finished his career at Virginia, he'll be a guy that's available to us and be around and be local. So that was important to us as well, and we're open to bringing guys into Rochester, and we want them to be in the market for certain players. We think that's important to us. So not necessarily going to pick a guy just because he's from a certain area. It's got to fit, but that's kind of secondary. We want to make sure they're going to be able to perform for us on the floor.
Right. So what, over the course of this offseason for this front office, what would you say the main themes and driving factors were?
I think we have a lot of work to do. We were 4-14, and that's not acceptable for us. We know that the way we're approaching this is going to take a little bit more time, and be patient with it. So trying to have patience, knowing that quality is very important to us, and bringing in players that are going to be top tier players, not just for us but around the league as well. So I think we've done that, and adding depth is very important to us. We had a lot of injuries last year, and that was something that we felt kind of affected our record and affected our our performance on the floor, because we just didn't have the depth that we feel we need. So we feel like we've addressed that. Excited for what's ahead, and we still have a lot of work to do, and we still have to have patience because we're a fairly young team still.
So obviously you're one of the more active general managers in the league. What is it for you on draft day that might make your mindset a bit different from some other general managers in this league?
Honestly, I don't know. That's a tough question to see. I know for us, it's we want to be active because it's important to us, and we spend a lot of time on our draft board, and if there's a guy we really like, we want to try and make that work. So I know it's important to every team, and everybody does things their own way. I know for me, it's we don't want to jeopardize our future with giving away our future picks, but I think building equity and building pieces within your organization that are going to add value, then like we gave up a second rounder in 2024, but we feel that player is going to be good for us for a lot longer than that, and long term. So sometimes being willing to give up a pick or trade a player is just something we feel like it's needed, because it's I think it can be a long ways away, but it's also not, right, a couple years down the road. So try not to think too far ahead, but also want to make sure we're not jeopardizing our future picks as well.